Okay, so maybe hopefully some good news. Looking at the UK's figures, they should be in the description. But according to Worldometers, the UK today had 717 deaths, which obviously I'm sure all of you agree with is horrible. But that is, again, down on yesterday's amount of deaths and the day before and the day before that. So while you do need to be a bit careful not to get too excited with that, because on April the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, the deaths were down sort of in a row again. It might be a sign that we're over the peak, but of course, no idea yet if that's true or not. But if that is the case, that would be good news. However, at the moment, no idea if that's true or not. So, well, I don't think anybody knows, that's the point. But, looking at the figures, that is some good news that we've had a few days in a row with the numbers going down. But whether or not there's a second wave, whether or not that's just, as it is a bit jagged as it goes up, who knows? But evening, everybody. Hello, Young Rail Enthusiast. Hello, Altrix. Hello, I am the Typer 2. Hello, Charla. Hello, is that Unknown Storm? Mark Smith, Ashton, and Daniel. Evening to everybody. Are you all right? So yeah, I'm alright, didn't do much today. Filmed a video on a Geiger counter, jamming a Geiger counter with strontium-90 and radium. I wanted to do a video reviewing the Chinese Geiger counter, but I'm trying to remember where I've put it now. As in the one I bought off Hype, the FS-Z03 or whatever it was called. But I did at least find this again. So when I was looking for the Chinese Geiger and didn't find that, I did find this. So I've got that for tomorrow when I go to the pharmacy. So, let's take my glasses off and pop them back on. But yeah, the GVS Ellipse is pretty good for just wearing out to, go to the pharmacy or whatever. But I'm actually keeping the GSP Force 8 in my car at all times now. So if I somehow forget to take a mask with me, there's a mask in the car. But yeah, so there we go. There's this one. So that'll be the one I take with me. How are you doing, George? All things considered, are you still doing all right? Hope obviously you're getting through everything. That's annoying, Shed on Fire, but obviously you still saw I was on. And hello, Peach, and hello, Frosty. Yeah, Frosty, hopefully that's true in Iceland as well, but a lot of the time it's hard to know, isn't it? Because sometimes it can just be that you have a couple of days where it does go down and you have another peak again. If I'm just out in a more remote place, just my glasses, if it's somewhere where I think it's going to be a lot worse, but right, second shifter. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing right. I've not even heard a bit about this Delovan sock, but let's hope an asteroid doesn't hit the Earth, because I think that would make everything a lot worse, wouldn't it? If it doesn't entirely kill us. Yeah, the XM28 is cool, Altrix. At least if you're in the States, you might be able to find one for a bit cheaper than they sometimes go for over here. But yeah, the problem, we're having a similar thing, Nordic Resilience. We're in the UK, and don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because at the moment it says 80 people on, 10 likes, so that's not even a quarter of the amount of viewers as likes. But yeah, the issue we're having in the UK is a lot of deaths from care homes aren't being reported, old people's homes and similar things. So the numbers are probably much, much higher than we know about. So it could be, of course, that the last couple of days have been up in a row, but because those figures aren't being counted on the figures, it appears to be going down. And Mel says, I love your channel, do keep the videos coming. Also, what effects do you think COVID-19 will have daily lives after the fact? Right, I would hope that once all this is over, a lot of civil liberties come back, and, there'll be some good things, some bad things. However, a big test is going to be, will lots of the lockdown laws actually loosen back to what they were? Hopefully more countries will see the point in investing properly in healthcare, because obviously, lots of other things similar to that, because the countries that are doing the best through all this are the ones that have very good healthcare systems, very good tracking systems and all that. Right, Gretchen? Good to see you on. I'm pretty sure, Mum Spaghetti, Ireland always used other countries' masks. I think Ireland at the moment uses the C50 and the FM12, but no, there's no time frame in the UK at the moment, Ragley, as far as we're aware. Because I think part of it is Boris Johnson needs to sign off on some of the stuff because he's the Prime Minister, and at the moment, obviously, he's too ill to work. He's out of hospital now, but I think he's been told by doctors to, rest for a couple of weeks and not do anything. Yeah, as a deal, that's a very important fact, isn't it? Because again, lots of PPE shortages, mostly because China's market for them got overwhelmed and China was in lockdown. So you would hope more countries would say, we should make this stuff domestically, because as well as it, employing local people and all that and being good for your economy, it means you can always get the goods because they're coming from a local place. But again, sadly, like you say, I doubt a lot of countries will learn their lesson. They'll probably immediately go back to buying from China. I don't really believe Rook's China's got the numbers under control. I think they're probably going in the right direction now, but you have to understand the numbers from Wuhan were probably way, way, way worse than they let on. When? Hopefully in a couple of weeks' time in the UK, but there's no time frame on it. Like 3 weeks maybe. But I think it's going to be a gradual lifting if things are going well. I don't think overnight they're going to say every restriction, pubs, clubs and all that can reopen. You can go out as much as you want, see your friends. I think it's going to be gradual stuff. So I think restaurants will be kept closed for quite a while. But I imagine the stricter lockdown sort of measures might be eased faster than some of the other ones. Oh, so you've got a Furness coming. That's good, Titan. That's a nice mask. Wearing my own hoodie. The one you can probably find in the description below. Owen says, I think people learn that preppers aren't as crazy as they led to the office. You'd hope so, but you never know if some people are going to go backwards on it, do you? Because, some people probably will pretend all this never happened as soon as it's over. And Gretchen said, stay on top of it tip for COVID. But I don't mind going off topic a little bit, but yeah, I'd rather, in general, most people on here want to talk about coronavirus, so. Yeah, are you living in a separate place, Mark, and then following the quarantine things? Good on you if you're following all the quarantine that. But yeah, I can get why it's quite hard for some people. Because yeah, if they're not living in the same place, they're following all the rules and not meeting up. No. I prefer the really old Doctor Who's and Mouse, like the ones with I'm trying to think of the name of the first Doctor. But obviously I had John Pertwee a bit later on, didn't you? Patrick Troughton before John Pertwee, Tom Baker. But I kind of like the really old Doctor Who's, like a bit like the old Star Treks rather than the newer ones. That's good, Titan. Well, not necessarily they send only to the EU, but they've got masks in stock again. I think Altrix, it's the typical BBC ruining everything kind of thing. That's not just a problem exclusively Swaggerino to the Furness. I think most people struggle with masks if they're on for a long time, because masks are never really intended to be worn, all that long. Sadly, that's not a real gas mask, the Miles play games, so I get people ask me all the time, what's the mask from the Empty Child on Doctor Who? And sadly, it's not really a real mask. It's kind of based on some of the British World War II ones, but it's not a specific model. Yeah, we've talked about that. I might do a video on it, Harris, because we've talked about it a lot on streams, but so far I don't think the radiation's got further than Kiev. A few people have said, they looked on their Geiger counters, dosimeters, and the numbers seemed a bit higher, but that could be caused by anything. Yeah, that was mentioned in last stream, Frosty, and I thought it was pretty amazing. Yeah, exactly, Grobnum. I'd agree with you there that, again, although you can't really trust China's numbers, maybe you can trust the trend. And if the trend is it's taking absolutely ages to return to normal things under a, dictatorship, under a democracy that isn't as efficient, yeah. Yeah, Stabbing Joe Scarborough says, hit the like. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream. Thank you, Joe. Well, the really retro ones are the proper clicky ones, Mom Spaghetti. But it depends really what... I assume you want a modern one, and a modern one that clicks rather than beeps. The only proper modern one I've got that makes the sort of more retro clicking style noise is those GQ family ones, like the GQ GMCs or whatever they're called. I did a review of one not very long ago. You can saturate it with too much radiation. But I do like the GQ GMC one, because although it's not really as good as my Terra P, I'd say in a lot of ways, the fact I do like with it is that you can do quite a few different graphics on the screens and things like that. If you want the Soviet one, DP5V Geigers would still click, because they just have headphones that plug into them, and they do like one of the most famous old clicking noises. Thank you very much, Islamic Rage Boy. And to answer your question, I think you asked earlier on, is weed legal? Weed isn't, but CBD, as in hemp, is legal. But yeah, like Gretchen saying, the problem is because it's a novel virus, there's a lot we don't know about it yet. So the problem is a lot of people have speculated on things, and it's just not turned out to be true because they based it on previous experience of other things, and that doesn't always work out. The Miles Play Game says dolphins are returning to Italy, so radiation is returning to Kiev. I don't think that's nature coming back. Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree with you there, Mark. Again, it was a typical communist covering up bullshit. Yeah, so for example, apparently the UK has more cases than China now, and I very much doubt that. Let's have a look. So, according to the graphs, China has 82,000 cases total. The UK has 88,000 cases total. China's only had 3,341 deaths, and the UK is at 11,329. Which do I believe? A country of a population of 60 odd million versus a country of a population of 1.6 billion, or whatever it is. So apparently China had less infections and less deaths, despite the, yeah, like I said, you can tell the numbers are bullshit when every other country now is getting more cases than China. Yeah, wasn't it like 21 million people, Rooster? But yeah, I don't think it's going to necessarily be all those people died, but yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it, if 20 odd million people suddenly stopped existing from using their mobile phones, kind of stuff. Yeah, I've started doing a bit more weightlifting. But yeah, especially because you can do that indoors, can't you, Owen? But what was it, Ewan? Sorry, I've completely forgotten how your name was pronounced. But yeah, in terms of reading, not much. I've just been more working on stuff, like DIY stuff around the house and tidying stuff up, because there's a lot of time to do it now. It's not like you think, oh, I want to have a day of rest because I'm at work tomorrow. A lot of the time now, we're sort of taking the attitude in the house that why not clean stuff up if we're sat around doing nothing? But yeah, a big problem is, of course, the second wave type idea, which is that if you release the lockdown too early or something similar to that, you get a whole new bunch of infections start up. All right, Richard, you're okay? When I do DIYs a deal, I always do it properly, but I've got a habit of playing with dangerous stuff and never damaging myself. And Islamic Rage Boy puts like a little dumbbell picture on and 99 cents. Thank you very much. But yeah, there we go. I've not got them with the heaviest weights on at the moment, but there you go. I've got the dumbbells and I've got the kettlebells down here. But at some point, if I had enough room, I'd have loved to have got an actual bench, proper weightlifting bench. But the problem is the house just is not big enough, especially with all that shit taking up room. All right, Hamtrap, however your name's pronounced. And thank you very much, 7SE. Don't forget, anybody that donates can get on the Discord. But just make sure you read the rules when you come on. It depends what you mean by the GP5 being ineffective. They're old Soviet masks, mass-produced. So bear in mind they're old. Bear in mind they were made by the Soviets and mass-produced. I think for what they are, as a very basic respirator, they are fine, especially if you put a modern filter on them and you get one in good condition that's been stored properly. But if you wanted to get a mask for protection, there's so many more better options than the GP5. So, it really depends. That's good, Rusty. So you're making good use of your time, are you? But, yeah. So what's everybody else doing to stay sane? Around 150, William, and I really don't know the number anymore, but I've been giving some away recently to people who need them in my local area, who actually want to at least have a mask, because sadly some people, you can try and talk them into having a mask for free till the cows come home, and they still think it's silly and it's not needed. That would be interesting, Richard. I don't know, depleted uranium weights. I don't know if it's necessarily a good idea, but it's an interesting thought. I mean, whether or not I could pay the government to get rid of depleted uranium through me using them into weights, I don't know, but I know that's why depleted uranium is used in shells, isn't it? Because it's really, really dense, so it's good at being, for actually penetrators or whatever. To a tiny extent, Hillsy, yes, but yeah, exactly, George. Yeah, they certainly had a lot of it, and that's why this stuff keeps turning up. There was one video I saw of a guy, urban exploring a Soviet bunker, but they had to climb through this tiny air duct to get into it, which is pretty claustrophobic. But yeah, there was just literally hundreds of crates of gas masks, Geiger counters lying around everywhere, all the Soviet medkits. Now, Soviet medkits are interesting because those orange Soviet little medkit first aid kits, most people take two things out of them, and you see them left with everything else in. And it's because there was like a morphine syringe in those first aid kits and something that was like LSD that they put in there as like an anti kind of gas medicine. That works a bit like atropine, I think, for nerve agents. So yeah, lots of people, if they're exploring things, just literally take all the morphine to sell or use themselves, or the essentially psychotropic drugs, whatever you call them. So you'd have to somehow, Edward, put it over your mouth like that, and I don't know if that would be that reliable. Do they think you're crazy now, Rooster? But would it go off, George, after that time? I don't actually know if it would go off or not. Once forget, he said, how do they find them, bunkers? I really want to see the video. It's so cool. I don't know how they find them. I'm assuming it's just if you live in an old Soviet Warsaw Pact country, lots of metro stations, train stations and things like that, or big like town hall type buildings in a lot of towns probably had a fallout shelter / bunker underneath them. Right, Myra Shadow. Unfortunately, Myra doesn't make their own masks. They just rebrand other people's masks. So let me work out which mask the Myra CM6M is, and then I'll tell you if it's a good mask. But it's probably... is that just a Czech CM6M? Yeah, so as far as I can tell, that is just the Czechoslovakian, or sorry, not Czechoslovakians, Czech Republic current military issue mask. So I think it has a different name when it's issued by when the Czech army uses it. I think it's got a different name, but essentially Myra's just rebranding that mask and selling it for more, a bit like how they call the OM90 something else. Primitive Hunter says, you're the reason I bought 2 Israeli 4A1 masks, but recently seen 2 sites saying that they're no good. What are your thoughts? I imagine sites saying Israeli masks aren't any good are trying to sell you a much more expensive mask. Sadly, a thing since the beginning of gas masks being sold on the internet is certain sites, like approvedgasmask.com being the old notable one, claiming basically any masks that they didn't sell were shit. And that's a trend that still continues. So if you've got some sort of businessman that says every product that's not sold by me is bad, you kind of know they're full of shit. If Israeli masks weren't good, Israel wouldn't mass produce them to issue them to civilians. That's my opinion on it, and I think that's probably the correct opinion. I hope so, Ryan, but sadly, probably not. The numbers have been going down for a few days in a row, but they've done that a couple of times already and then started going up again. And also, part of it depends on accurate reporting of statistics. And sadly, in the UK, with such a lack of test kits and a lot of numbers not being recorded properly, that's probably not the case. But yeah, it's all right, Henry. Thanks. We've mostly been having quite a good, calm, common sense stream today, with people asking, what's Tiger King about then? Because one of my mates was watching it remotely with his girlfriend, because they're obviously not together at the moment because there's a lockdown stuff, but I haven't got any idea what it's about. When you say off 90, assuming the OM 90 is NATO or GOST, because I can fit it on both. I'm pretty sure the OM 90 is NATO, but the older Czech masks were GOST. So like the OM 90 is NATO, I'm pretty certain, but I think like the CM3, CM4 are GOST, CM5s are GOST. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was the Czech Republic's first NATO mask. Imagine a robot wearing a mask while grocery shopping. Don't think a robot would need a mask, would it, Thomas? Yeah, don't know if I'm actually a proper really peak survival. I just like collecting a lot of this stuff, and then it can come in handy. But there's certainly nothing wrong with obviously going to a sensible level of preparedness, is there? Especially if you live in a place with inept sort of emergency services or, underfunded emergency services. Well, I'm furloughed a deal, so I should be. When I get my next wage slip in, it should be 80% of what it normally is. But yeah, I've been furloughed, so I can't go to work, essentially. Pro Mask 2. Jenny says you need bayonet filters for Pro Mask 2. Which one's that? Is that the Scott Pro Mask? Because aren't there a different couple of versions of the Pro Mask? I think it depends. Isn't there the regular Pro Mask, which is 40mm, and then there's this one. Because I've got the Scott M98, which is the military Pro Mask, and that's definitely 40mm. So yeah, Pro Mask 2 then is probably the Scott proprietary one. I'm assuming regular Pro Mask is 40mm. Field Textiles in Basildon. I very much doubt it unless they sell stuff on eBay. Is that just a military surplus? Oh, yeah, it's a surplus. Unless they sell on eBay, no. My local surplus store used to be really good, but sadly they've gone out of business now. I tried to look on the list, Henry, and I couldn't find him on there, but the YouTube block list is really stupid now. Where I don't know where they put it on the new thing, so you have to go into Studio Classic to try and find a block list. And then it basically keeps timing out. All right, Mike? But yeah, I'd like to see Rajiv on, but I don't know if he's been blocked or if he's just not been on. But the problem is if a mod blocks somebody, I have no idea now how to unblock them unless you see it instantly and unblock them or know what their profile name is. But I can't remember what Rajiv's full username was, so I can't actually Google him, try and find his YouTube page through that, and then unblock him that way if he has been blocked. But yeah, basically on the YouTube dashboard, there's meant to be a way you can find people to be blocked and unblocked. But I have no idea where they've put it. Let me have a look in settings on the new one. And again, they've kind of removed lots of the features from Creator Studio Classic. So when you try and use the old-fashioned one where you know how it works, I don't think it shows up anymore. Like it just times itself out every time you go on it. Maybe Community? Is it on Community? If it's on Community, I can find it there. I hope I don't freeze my browser while trying to click on this. Yeah, I found it. Okay, I know how to do it now. Let's Control F and find Rajiv on here if he's on here. Rajiv. It was just R-A-J-I-V, wasn't it? If he's on here, I can unblock him instantly if somebody's blocked him. But Control F isn't finding him, so I don't think he's blocked. I just don't think he's been on. No, there's no Rajiv on the block list, so thankfully he's not been blocked, but it also means where is he, because he's not been around. But yeah, at least I know how to get on the block list again now they've changed it, but... know what you're on about, Kenjiro. As far as I'm aware, nobody's put a hit on my head, like a price on my head. eBay, Ben, is the easiest place normally for finding every bit of surplus. Yeah, the only thing, Wizard Tim, on that MGP one, is there a way of setting it? Because it will log one microsievert every time it logs a microsievert. But on the actual rate display, I can't seem to get it to show any lower than 10 microsieverts per hour. So is there a way of getting it to show 1 microsievert per hour, like by adding an extra 0 on, or not? But again, like you said, it's quite irritating, isn't it? Because you've got the one button function for the menus, which is very difficult to use. But anyway, where was the chat going anyway? In all honesty, Oliver, I don't watch Thunderfoot's videos because he did one video about radiation, like from Chernobyl, wasn't bad. And he also did another one about how nerve agents weren't dangerous or something like that. I think if he just talked about things he understood, it would be good. But because he does so many videos basically with a contrarian opinion, he's lost a lot of credibility. Oh, you need software to enable a microsiever hour. Thank you, Wizard Tim. So you need the reader. No, the problem is, Wizard Tim, at the moment, is just I get too many comments to check all of them now. So I'd have to specifically go and look for a comment. Yeah, in theory, Rooster, they're meant to be trying to combat that by taking down listings, but I assume they're just not doing it fast enough because everybody wanting to make a quick buck. No, I removed the Facebook page, Mitch. I used to have one, but it just got so much spam on there that I just ended up taking it down because, you know, you couldn't really use it for its purpose because you get all these spam bots trying to get you to advertise products for them. Yeah, I'm waiting for some more interesting comments. I've sort of done some like that before, S10 Gas Mask. The reality is everybody would die or, you know, the majority of the planet would die, and, you know, some people who are alive might wish they weren't, but... Cool class to instruct, how big is it? Just be careful what you put in there, because UVC can damage some things. But it'd be fine for keys and things like that. Okay, doesn't sound like something that would interest me then, Grobnob. In general, Oliver, yes, but I think you still have to be careful what you're listening to, because there are some people that will try and basically, you know, pull a bit of a fast one. But yeah, you should listen to different opinions and then come to your own conclusion on things. Yes, of course. Cheers, Rooster. I didn't even know I could do paid advertisements, but there you go. But yeah, in general, I won't. If somebody says, can I pay you to do a good review of a product? No, is the answer to that. I had to block somebody on Patreon that was trying to get me to do that recently. But the thing is, I wouldn't be giving an honest review of a different gas mask or something, would I, if I was letting somebody bribe me to say it's good? I've done some older reviews where people, sent me stuff. I didn't have to say they were good, but, and most of the time they were good products, but, I don't really like doing those anymore just because if you want to do a video, you then think, right, I have to do a review on this product today. Depends where you are, Mark Smith, but if you're in the UK, you can Google something like UK coronavirus locations, and there's a few different sites that have like maps up with the like counties or whatever in the cases. I thought he was Bobby, but if you're a nuclear scientist and you don't think Chernobyl was a serious nuclear disaster, I think you've lost a bit of credibility there, haven't you? Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Grobnob. If somebody's like explaining why a product's bullshit that's on GoFundMe or whatever, that is a lot more interesting than somebody trying to explain why something that's serious isn't serious or vice versa. It's probably just biggish catchment areas then's the deal. Just by trying to read them quite fast, Maxim. He says, how are you able to read these chats too fast, or you just don't try to read every single comment, just the ones at a time? I don't know what you mean by not read every single comment, just ones at a time. I try and read the more interesting questions, because when people are chatting amongst themselves, there's no real point in me reading that out. But sadly, I can't keep up with the regular comments on videos anymore, because quite often at the moment, I'm getting like 1,000+ comments a day. And obviously, if you think about it, if you're getting 1,000+ comments a day, thank you very much. Is that Sylvia? Is the Pro 2000 PF10 filter is effective? Yes, that's absolutely fine. Let me just double check which filter you mean by that. I know there's quite a few Scott Pro filters. But if you mean ones like... where did I put that big one I had the other day? There. But if you mean like those or just the P3 versions of these, yeah, they're good filters. I don't like the fact they don't store them in like proper airtight bags, but they are good filters. Thank you very much. But yeah, I certainly recommend these as filters. But yeah, the P3 one's only like that big. But yeah, no, they're good filters. I've got quite a few bayonets, Ben. Sadly, I've not got many bayonets for the actual rifles I've got that fit on them. I've got a few in a drawer, but I didn't know you said, Mark Smith, there wasn't many cases in your area, but what have you looked it up on a map and found there is? What was that? The half face mask, Alexander? Was that the one where I was going to check it with a microscope? I've not got round to doing that. I can get round to doing it at some point. Sorry, it's just completely slipped my mind of all the corona stuff. Because obviously at the moment, most people, that was a thing from a while ago. But yeah, if I can find where I've stored the mask, I can get my electric microscope if I can find that, and then I can check it. But yeah. It's not the pharmacy that don't let you do that, Iron Man. It's whether or not your doctor will write you a big enough prescription for it. Some of them they've allowed me to have more of, others they've not done. And I've already run into a problem with one of my medicines I just can't get now. Because apparently, every sort of supply has just collapsed for it. Yeah, Jack Daniels whiskey, well, bourbon whiskey, whatever it is in the UK, yes. If you look on eBay, you should be able to find S10 outserts on eBay. But yeah, Alexandra, I'll get round to doing the video on that when I remember where all the bits are stored. But yeah, it's just remembering to do it. Christoph says, OF90 is the filter that comes with the OM90, but it goes on my CM4 and OM90, so it's dual purpose. So it's probably quite similar to one of these then, isn't it? Where it's like a GOST, probably just got a GOST thread on the filter, so the filter might be GOST, but even because GOST filters will go on NATO masks and GOST masks, but NATO filters don't the other way around. Why is that, Mark? Because it's not made in Tennessee or whatever, or Kentucky, where is it Kentucky it has to be bourbon? I can't remember. Or it is at the moment S10, but so is pretty much every mask that's going for like 60, 100, 200 pounds. If it's some more modern type 1 tox, it could be completely fine to use it even if it's expired. I'm not into football at all, Alexander the Great. Lots of people are. I don't find football interesting at all and never watch it. Robin said, opinions are fine on gas masks, but your head is the shape it is, and if you find one that's comfortable and it's physically sound, then that's your number one priority, not people's opinions approval. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Because, yeah, it's completely pointless, isn't it, where some people really like certain masks, but if it's just not comfortable, doesn't make a good fit with you in various sizes, then, you know, it's not a good mask for you, is it? But, yeah, sadly, I think some people don't get that. They just think the mask they like the most has to be the best mask ever. No, anything I legally own, Darius, I can keep. Don't think you're going to get one for £20 then, Walter. That's the simple answer. You wouldn't have even got an S10 for £20 unless you were very lucky back like 10 years ago. Ben Newman says, can you show a bayonet? I'll show you the nice Swiss one. There you go. That's the nice Swiss Sturmgewehr 57 or whatever it's called. The bayonet for those. Like the SIG 510 bayonet, basically. Size 1 S10 is the biggest. Size 4 S10 is the smallest. I don't know what the actual measurements are, though. Mark says, my head is peanut shaped and the S10 fits like a glove. Good. I think there's only 4 sizes S10s as far as I'm aware, Walter. I don't think there's a size 5. No, it's a bit stronger than squash. You can probably tell it's not squash by the kind of the way it refracts the light. No, Alexander, I do YouTube stuff, and at the weekends, of course, I can't do that at the moment with the quarantine on. I used to do a cleaning job, so I have some training with like chemical type stuff for the cleaning job. What, is the bayonet legal? Of course it's legal. No, because Heavy Trooper, to have fan mail, I'd need a PO box. You have to pay quite a lot for PO boxes. And in the UK, even if you've got a PO box and somebody sends you something illegal in the fan mail, you can still get done for it. So the only way I do fan mail is people I've chatted with on YouTube for ages. I trust enough they get my address to send me something. Well, the problem is, Maxim, at the moment, there's not much to recommend because of what's going on. A while ago, we used to do that. You know, we'd go quite often on streams a while ago. Somebody would say, can you recommend me a good mask? And I'd have a look for what was available at the time. But at the moment, everything is just selling out left, right, or center, or is inflated in price. So you can't really recommend stuff in that regard. Just because, you know, I almost closed the stream then by accident. But yeah, you can't really do that on these because, you know, something that might be there might have 2 available and then it's gone, sort of thing. Maybe in busy city places toxic. In most places I'd say no, because UV light, as in the sun, would kill the virus within a day or so, I'd imagine. I think they were thinking it doesn't survive outside very long at all. £352 a year, yeah, fuck that, Mike. That's crazy money, isn't it? £352 a year for just having an anonymous, basically, postal address. And even then, if you had a PO box, if it's within a few miles of your house, somebody could probably, who was sad enough, look where your PO box is, look on Google Earth, and then try and dox you that way. Looking at the satellite things, trying to work out, what one looks like, bits that they see in the videos. So yeah, fuck that. I wouldn't pay that money for a PO box. That it's, I suppose it is what it is, isn't it? But thank you again, Sylvia. Which filter mask would be the best against virus? Right, any mask that covers your nose and mouth with a P3, P100 filter would be fine. So the ones you're on about, the Scott Pro filters, they'd be absolutely fine in the way of filters. But ideally, the problem is at the moment, again, I'm trying to think what you might even be able to find. If you're donating in pounds, I assume you're in the UK. Let me see if I can find anything that's in stock for you in the UK in regards to like respirators, but sadly at the moment, pretty much everything's gone. There's one that might not come all that quickly if it's coming from China, but it is quite a decent mask if I can find any. We try have an AliExpress page of them on bookmarked. Right. This isn't going to come all that quickly, but that mask there I've just linked, that is a decent mask, and the Scott Pro filters will fit on that mask absolutely fine. I've got one behind me. Where is it? Around here somewhere. Weirdly enough, because I showed it in the stream the other day. There it is. So yeah, these masks are pretty good for what they are. I've got a few old laser pointers, but I have no idea what models they are. Yeah, what Gretchen says is true there. I actually asked a couple of places near me, and annoyingly, as much as doctors could use them, a lot of places are doing the thing of, we're only trained to use a certain brand of mask that has a certain type of certification, so no, we can't use them. These are RD40, these masks, yeah. Let me just unscrew this filter. Yeah, that's the standard RD40 thread. I don't know if it's a GOST or NATO thread, but I'm pretty yeah, it's NATO, isn't it, on this mask? Yeah, because NATO filters go on fine, but let's hope it doesn't sing, but yeah, you might be right. But yeah, the problem is, like I was saying, that we're having this issue in the UK of a lot of doctors where they've not got enough PPE, but they're still being very restricted on what they're allowed to use. It was about £30 when I got it, Carl Finns, but that was over a year ago. It's not weak plastic. Again, some of this plastic isn't going to be the strongest plastic in the world, but bear in mind these are brand new masks from China. So I know some people are China, but these are brand new masks in the sort of £20 to £30 sort of price range, and you are never going to get a lot of masks at the moment in that price range, let alone ones that are brand new. So yes, while they're not the strongest masks in the world, they are at least, for what they are, very functional masks. You get good visibility with them, fairly good face seal, and they haven't got a brilliant voice diaphragm, but they seem to have a bit of one, Sure does ask away. Polish MP5's toxic zone are 40mm NATO, which is why it seems old FP5 filters were actually GOST, and then later on, once I assume the tooling ran out or whatever, they now just do everything in 40mm NATO, it says. But yeah, if I'll put the link there to that mask again, but there you go. I mean, I'm assuming these are still exporting again now, but yeah, the mask itself is £29.30 if you buy it without a filter, so £30 for one of these is excellent. Because yeah, so it's a decent enough strap system. These are basically a rip-off. I'm trying to remember which mask they were a rip-off of. But it's basically, where the Chinese have almost done a one-to-one rip-off of a mask that would normally be like £100 to £200 new over here. I don't think no, it wasn't a Mestral one. Oh, great, a person with KKK in their username. I'm sure that's a normal person. But right, I think it might have been a Scott mask. Was it the Scott Sari or whatever it was called? No, it's not the Sari. That's the one that's a bit like the Finnish sabers. Let's see if I can find. If I go on 3M Scott's website, let's see if I can. There's a list of all their masks, and work out which model it was. It might be the Vision RF F1000, I think, looking at this, or one similar to that. It looks like the Vision series, but yeah. If I link people to this, I'm pretty sure this Chinese one is basically a rip-off. Jesus is coming. You forgot look busy at the end of what you said there. Jesus is calling me a Satanist. That's interesting. Oh, Henry got rid of Jesus. Oh. Oh, afraid Jesus is gone. Jesus was spamming the stream, and now Jesus is gone. Well, it was Easter yesterday, so he should have been on yesterday, not today. I can't remember, Darius, because I bought it a while ago. It's one of those carbons that cuts really nicely, but bends very easily. So make of that what you will. I prefer swords that are actually, harder to keep sharp, but are much stronger steels. But we get raided every now and again, Czechoslovakia. I have no idea why, but yeah, it will always be the same questions, all the weirdos coming on in bulk because they've got nothing better to do. But yeah, so there's some questions where I know it's a troll because you sometimes see exact same questions worded the same way coming from different usernames. So if a mod blocks somebody for saying something the other day and then you get the exact same phrased question the next day. Oh, I think the chat might have broken. Let me do a pop-out chat because I can't see the chat moving anymore. All right, there we go. The pop-out chat's working. But to a degree, Newt, yes. But if you were actually asking it as a real question, but to a degree. But again, it's the viral load thing. The more protection between you and the virus, the better. So, but Right, if you really had to do it, Rory, and you couldn't afford optical inserts or anything like that, if you have an old pair of glasses, you know, if you took the arms off the glasses, so it's literally just those bits of the glasses, you might be able to somehow tie them into the mask, and have, you know, like just this bit to somehow sit on top of the oral nasal cup. Yes, you can bend blogs and gaming. I imagine shooting it might be against the law unless you've got it on a Section 1 and all that sort of stuff, but legally owning a musket is fine because it's an obsolete caliber. You know, it'd be considered an antique gun, just like my Martini Henry's an antique. Des says, I recently bought an Israeli A1. Do you mean the 4A1? And the mask does not have threads where the filter is supposed to go. Can you give me some? Does it have that weird plastic white thing on the front? If so, unscrew that. Is it like a breathing resistance trainer, that plastic white thing? But I think you've probably just got something screwed into where the thread is. You just need to unscrew that and then you can get at the thread. Personally, I shave before I go out like this, Joe. If it's an expired particulate filter or combination filter, Sylvia, it will still be perfectly effective for protection from something like coronavirus. It's only against vapors, as in like chemical weapons, it wouldn't work. Sadly, I don't think they are a 10 gas mask liker. Otherwise, you know, I'm sure they'd be more sought after, but I think it has to be like quite an old caliber nobody really uses anymore or produces anymore. Or, you know, like a really, really retro type gun. Because there's a few guns that are over 100 years old, but because they're like 303 or 9mm, they'll never go on that list. No problem, Sylvia. I already answered you, Alexander. I said most of the time I do YouTube. At the weekend, I normally have a cleaning job, but I'm not even allowed to do that anymore, as well as doing charity volunteering, just because, you know, lockdown. No, I've not seen that. How did they do it, Heavy Trooper? I've seen some DIY gas mask videos which are totally useless, a bit like some of the ones I've done, where people just get like a plastic bottle and they're like, "Oh, this will make a good face seal." No, it won't. But there are some channels that have done good videos on homemade masks. But in all reality, if you're doing a homemade mask, it would have to be something like a PTM, unless you had lots of good rubber seals, because you know, you can make DIY particle masks quite easily, but you can't really do a proper vapor protective masks. Yep, you should be able to, Tiago. If you pull it out, you should just be able to get an umbrella valve of a similar size and push that in, because most masks just use umbrella valves. I have no idea, Ben, blogs and gaming. I really don't know how a lot of the laws work on it, and I definitely wouldn't want to advise you on it, because if I advise you on it something wrong and you get arrested, it's quite a serious thing. I've got some pre-World War II gas masks, Cohen, but nothing older than that. Well, I've been repairing some electronics, Daniel, but I've got no real interest in coding, in all honesty. But I do the YouTube stuff, and obviously I can do that from home, which I'm sure you know about because you're watching my channel. But Scott Pro filter on a CM4. Right. If my CM4 is handy, and I don't know if it is or not, then yes, I can test that for you. Well, I'll tell you what I can do. I can just test the CM5, because the CM5 is basically the same as the CM4. So where's the CM5 gone? Right, so there's a CM5D. It's a GOST thread, not a NATO thread. I've not got the banana oil in here though, that's the only thing. So I can't do a really very good test, but I think that bit's pressurizing. I'm just seeing if there's anything I could smell. Right. I'm pretty sure it's blocking the smell. Yeah, that's much stronger now I've taken it off. So yeah, it seems to work on the CM. What's it? The CM5D. It seems to work. So I'm sure it would work on the CM4. Again, you can always add an extra O-ring if you wanted to be really sort of safe about it. But in general, it seems Scott Pro filters seem to work on most Ghost masks. Yeah, they're better for breathing through digital, but yeah, the problem is you can't do a pressure check very well. Fireball. No, I don't know what this is. Is it some sort of like really spicy sauce? Well, we've been discussing that quite a bit recently, Richie. There is a big problem with a lot of this stuff could not be repealed when it should be repealed. But again, you'd have to hope so. But I really don't have too much of an opinion on it because I think you could make an example either way how it's bad. You know, people will die in the short term if we don't, if we don't track people and make sure they follow quarantine rules. But you need to make sure the laws go away afterwards. And I'm not a legislator, or anything like that. Oh, it's cinnamon whiskey. Sounds interesting. Yeah. Ben Blogs makes no sense, does it? But I didn't make the laws up. Oh, the 9/11 state of emergency. I suppose the Korean War never ended as well, did it? But... No, Des, what you'll need to do is put a picture on somewhere like Imager, put a link in a video description, hope I see it. Not in the video description, but there's no real easy way of doing it, I'm afraid. And what claims would they be, Bond be? I mean, at the moment, as I said, I can't even keep up with comments, so I'd have to be doing a pretty amazing job, wouldn't I, to somehow delete or hide people when I'm not checking the comments anyway. I'm 26, Alexander. I just find him interesting, Alexander, that's why. Well, as I've said, I've not even looked at the comments on that video and replying to a few randomly. But with all the trolls we've been getting on here recently, I imagine you might just be saying that to be a bit of a shit stirrer, in all honesty. But yeah, basically, if you didn't know, a few people looked up on the thing and it seems to be a DIN thread. And, it seems to screw in absolutely fine. So there you go. If you don't want to get them, don't get them. There's your thing. I've played the old Call of Duty 4. That's right, Techie Slovakia. Yep, I'll be on the stream a couple more minutes. So if he wants to actually make his point here and now, he can do. Where it's on live, so it'd be quite obvious if I'm trying to ignore him if I can see the comment. But Yeah, I imagine the reason it kind of worked Heavy Trooper is because you're not going to get a very good face seal. They've even tried, Daniel, doing it with ionizing radiation in labs, and apparently that damages the masks. All right, he's wasting our time. Let's get rid of him. He's like, oh, I can't tell you what the comment was because it's removed. Even I haven't taken any comments off that video because I've not looked at it. So, oh, what a twat. But I'm assuming it's just one of the trolls coming back with a different thing. Do dust masks work? Not Eli, not compared to some streams, but we've had a few trolls coming on being irritating. Well, FFP2 is better than the standard N95 if you meant that as an FFP1. FFP3 is obviously better than FFP2. No, he's not going to bother, and he's blocked now anyway, but he was just being a twat. But yeah, the point was I've not removed any comments on that video, so unless some other mod's done it, it's not been me. So it's somebody saying, oh, you're trying to censor me. And as said, I never claimed that's a GOST filter because it's clearly not a GOST filter. The point with these is, if I can just get it to unscrew again, because that's in quite tight. There we go. That somebody was reading the old manuals. Was it Son of Sono for these? Basically, yeah, if I put the light on, because this is in the video. Basically, somebody looked at one of the old manuals for this, dug up loads of info, and basically read it was a DIN thread, not a 40mm NATO thread, because DIN and NATO's a different thing. So he was like, if it's DIN, shouldn't it fit on a GP5 or whatever? Fine. So I said, well, yeah, so what I'll do is I'll buy one of these for like £20, you know, which is quite a lot of money to just spend on a single filter, and open it just to test it for some people who are actually, and Halon said it works fine for him. But yeah, the point was, anyway, going back to this whole thing, was that I said, look, I'll spend some money, I'll get one, and I'll see for myself if I think it works or not, you know. And because, again, a few people dug up that they thought these were DIN, not NATO threads. And if it's a DIN thread, it should work with Soviet masks. Can you post it as a brand new comment, Des, on any video now, or go on comments and it should show up? But yeah, the point is, if I get, for example, this, have I got a NATO filter handy? Oh, good, I have. Right, let me show you something. Oh, the religious nut job's back as well. Thank you for removing them. So here's a NATO filter of a GP5M. You'll notice there's going to be a bit of tension with this. If I get this screwing. So it goes in quite well to that way. Then it's kind of being a bit rough now, but C2s for some reason don't seem, you might be able to hear, you know, there's a bit of resistance there. You know, it's not obviously designed to go on there. Now, this one, and some people are saying, and they might be right, it might be because these are plastic threads, they kind of squeeze in a bit. But yeah, when you start putting these on, there's actually a lot less resistance on the screw thread, and then it seems to just go in fine. So again, here's the thing, is this a proper GOST filter? And if we go back to this whole argument, is it a proper GOST filter? No. You know, if you were going to use a filter on a GOST mask, ideally it should be a GOST filter, you know, like one of these, which again has a different looking thread. But the point is that, you know, if you can get access to those filters, weirdly, this actually has a bit more resistance going in than the other one did. Yeah, I'd agree with you there, George, completely. Right, it's pretty hard to do a pressure check efficiently with this due to how big the bottom bit is. But the point was, if you watched the video I did yesterday that went on today, I used banana oil and stuff like that with them, which you can smell pretty easily through a mask if the seal's not good. Because there's been lots of old filters where I've put them on a mask, done the pressure check, they seem to be fine, but when you use banana oil, you can still smell it quite clearly. With this, I could not smell banana oil until I basically undid it, put it again on one of the things, and it was worked. But again, that's is completely off topic, and the person's derailed the stream, which is probably what they're hoping to do. But I don't mind talking about stuff like this. But the original point was some people said, I kind of weirdly think these might work on Ghost masks because they seem to be not a standard NATO thread. Right, let me quickly check that for you now, Des, before I go off the stream. I tested it after buying the filter. I think they were right. And then you've got somebody being childish about it, but there you go. Right. I can't see it. Let me check spam. No, it's not showing up. Held for review, maybe? Oh, there we go, Des. Right, with the garden gnome picture. That's weird. Yeah, you've not got a thread on that. Are you sure that's an Israeli mask? And I reckon that's a Chinese rip-off of the Israeli mask. It looks quite different. But yeah, that is bizarre. I don't know what to say there, but the exhale valve looks different. The bit at the bottom as well. So I would guess it's either not a real Israeli mask. Oh, I just thought, is that a bong mask where there's just not a bong on it? Because I think the bong masks that look like the Israeli masks but actually aren't are like that. Like Class 2 instructor said, airsoft mask or bong. So yeah, I hope somebody didn't sell you that for a lot of money because you've been properly ripped off by that. Because what they've actually done is got a bong mask or, like an airsoft mask that's meant to look like a gas mask and sold it as a gas mask. But yeah, the bit where the filter screw thread should be on the picture he just uploaded, it was just literally, smooth plastic, where you'd just probably have a bong glued in, I assume. In theory, you might be able to, Brian, but I don't know how the valves would work in them because I've never used one. But maybe if you got a load of silicone adhesive or something, put that in, put a filter in, just glued it on, you could do it that way. Pretty much anything, Eli. That was already asked this stream, Heavy Trooper. The answer is not really. CBD is legal, but Anyway, I'll go off now. I've been on over an hour. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who's been sensible. Again, we've had some weirdos trying to raid the stream. It doesn't surprise me that's happening at the moment because there were a load of people breaking the rules on the Discord who kept getting repeated, warnings and second chances, who kept breaking them, got banned, and are now throwing a complete shit fit because they've got banned. So there you go. I imagine it's them ones. But yeah, I'll be on tomorrow. I assume I might try and do an afternoon one tomorrow. I don't know, but see you all. Yeah, and stay safe, everybody, because as we've been saying. And what's the thing somebody was saying about Stanags and Dins and all that? But Din is older than NATO. For the person who was asking about that. Again, I'm not an expert on these threads. That's my disclaimer. But Din is the old German 40mm, as far as I'm aware, that predates NATO. And I think Balsano was saying the other day it's very similar to Ghost, if not the same thing as Ghost. So if you've got a 40mm Din mask, in theory, it's actually closer to Ghost than NATO. But it also depends what tooling people have. Sadly, I'm not smart enough to do that, Mom Spaghetti. Yeah, I'm sure you can find a guide online that explains Din versus Ghost versus NATO and all that. Anyway, I'll be off now because otherwise I'm going to keep getting distracted. Right, see you all. Bye.